up, people?
Hey, brother.
How you doing? How you doing? Seven still doing.
Seven's got some technical difficulties.
Costume change.
Okay, so we'll try this. Hopefully everything should flow fine. I've minimized everything else that could be hogging my network in the background. But yes, I want to thank you two gentlemen for coming on my birthday show. I appreciate
Not a problem. So, do we dare ask
what?
How young you are?
Oh, okay, yeah. I have circled the sun 4 decades in 2 years.
Ah.
Hey!
4 decades in 2 years. I've circled the sun. So I know I may act like I'm 15, but I'm definitely 42. Definitely
well, 42. You may be old, but you'll never be as old as me.
True. And I'm definitely never going to be younger than I am today.
Yes.
I'm never going to be younger than I am today.
You're only as old as you feel. I feel 140.
There we go.
True. Well, I mean, in the pandemic, it's like my whole sense of reality has been distorted. Like most people, time runs differently. And so, like, I was like, okay, birthday's coming up. What am I going to do? Whatever. It's like, how about the same thing you've been doing for the past couple months because nothing's safe. I haven't got the vaccine yet. I want to get the vaccine at some point. But I have not received it yet. I'm still getting COVID tested. I was COVID tested on Sunday. I had my girls visiting from out of town. And, got the confirmation that everything is fine. Whenever I put them back on the plane and sent them back, I went to the doctor's office and got the swabby thingy and everything. And the response was really fast. I was happy about that. Surviving was basically my goal for it because everybody was asking me like, "What do you want for your 42nd birthday?" It's just like I just want to live. Like living would be nice.
Isn't it sad that you have to actually say that now? Like, yeah. Yes. Oh, let's celebrate. We see another sunrise. Woohoo!
Man, happy birthday, frat. I feel like we should say.
Do you know a song?
I don't have a song preference. I'm not a big. This feels like
dear. No, just kidding.
This is like it's like eating at the restaurant, but like times 10,000 because it's like broadcast to all these different people versus like just everybody else in the restaurant walking up to you awkwardly.
I see.
Yep. Every year of my life. Every year of my life.
This is what a great idea for a birthday party. You get a shit ton of people, and it will never be a super spreader event.
Yeah,
I love that idea.
Well, yeah, I mean that's true. It's like you just have people. Well, I mean, I think what makes that particular, I guess, like piece of our culture so significant is the awkwardness that comes along with it. Like, I mean, like when you're there and then the whole mariachi band comes out and just starts going off, and then everybody's looking at you like why? Because I've never ever looked at that situation. Has anybody ever looked at somebody being like applauded by the staff? Like they're paid to be there. They don't give a shit about the people they're singing for. They don't care. They don't care. Right. Because someone said it's somebody's birthday, and if you're lucky, you get some fake enthusiasm. Happy birthday, da 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 da. You get that, but realistically, what you can see is happy birthday. So it's like uncomfortable for everybody involved. The person who's singing it, the people forced to do it. Like it's never ever a situation where anybody really enjoys it. So I'm wondering if in a virtual space that would be different.
I always wondered why there weren't more birthday songs like, the day back in the day, the Cure, like it's your birthday, you're closer to death, something like that.
I don't think I've ever heard that.
Well, it's like you were saying that time.
I don't know. It's kind of catchy though. Sing a couple more bars. I don't know. Keep going.
Give me a C. Give me a bouncy C.
Bars. That's the most morbid birthday celebration ever. Oh, hi, it's Carrie. Carrie's coming. Here she goes. Okay, I'm gonna bring Carrie on. Hopefully, Carrie not crash the stream. This
was
Carrie.
Yeah. This is me in my work outfit. Hair not combed, no makeup, no nothing. Just working. Happy birthday, Brandon.
Thank you, Carrie. I appreciate it. So much.
Okay, I have a question. Who's older?
Hmm.
Well, I'm probably not pointing to the right spot. Carrie or Brandon?
I'm way older than Brandon. Way older.
We prefer to use the term seasoned around here.
Seasoned, yes. Seasoned. Yes, that's right.
I can use the term older because nobody's as old as me. Okay.
Yeah, that's
as
true.
a senior person on this stream.
Right? True story.
But it's been an interesting year. Like a lot of, I pretty much we all linked up and built this thing over, this past year. So I want to thank you all, not just for being on the show, but for all of the work that you all have been doing individually and collectively in regard to building this brand. We fought the Klan. That happened, so that's the first major conflict that we've had, but it's ongoing from my understanding. The school board met last night. It was a 3-hour meeting. Like I was watching it, but I was like busy working while I was watching. So I was tuning in and tuning out to this 3-hour meeting. Started at 5, didn't end until like 8 something in the evening at the USD 345 schoolroom meeting. And pretty much like it was the same arguments being made over and over again as far as those individuals who were opposed to it. They were one was, how much is going to cost? Who's going to pay for it? How much is going to cost? Who's going to pay for it? Like there's some price to the suffering, these kids are going through there. Like, we recognize you're going to have to go out and play against these, other basketball teams wearing the name of a club member. But, it's just too expensive right now to fit.
Really? Because you can go to Hobby Lobby, and I know they got Hobby Lobby in Topeka. And you can get like names and stuff for jerseys and everybody make their own jersey, $5.
Or when you get the new jerseys, just request that the name of the Klan member not be on it.
Right.
I mean, I personally feel like you should have started a Get the Semen Off campaign. And then you should have got Monica Lewinsky to be the spokesperson for it. That would have been a huge draw for that.
Oh, everybody wearing blue dresses, get the semen off.
See what I'm saying? Get Paula Jones to come in and do a guest spot.
Yeah.
So when you order your jersey, right, do you get a choice of color?
I don't think you do. I mean, I'm not even sure
how on the team. No, you do not. You get when you're generally playing for the team, you get whatever the coaches give you.
I see. So I would suggest anything but white.
True. People talk about it like these are juvenile antics and these are underneath us. But the fact is, this was stuff that was already these kind of jokes. These existed already before we knew he was a Klan member. So it's like not only do you have this situation that was already problematic and being used as a way to sexually harass female students. You want to come over to my house and get some semen on your shirt, like that those kinds of jokes were pervasive even back whenever I was there. So now not only do you have that issue, which people overlooked, now you have the Klan issue, but still it's like that's history.
What got me was reading the comments from the alumni, yourself included. where this was rumored for generations. I would think that that right there, a rumor, would be enough for people to go, maybe.
Well, the problem is too many people knew the rumor was true. I mean, that's the bigger issue that I'm having now with how it's being approached or what's being floated. Is that like the school board is going to put together a strategic committee to go and investigate, what needs to be done and communicate with the community and, get the opinion of the community and then come back and tell them. But the thing is, like in the school board, like your job is to lead, like regardless, like the people that you're serving elected you to make the decisions for them. You're not supposed to kick it back down to them and say, I don't want to touch it. But it's great if you're trying to hide behind the people and ensure your position in office for, the next term. But the problem is everybody in the community was comfortable with making Fred Seaman a known Klan member. It wasn't like he's like, the mask was ripped off this year when the district was founded. They knew he was a Klan member, and they were on board with it. And I'm pretty sure there were other Klan members who were part of this as well that we have not discussed. So while we're busy here trying to protect the legend of Fred Seaman, we're also ignoring all of the associated history and the other people who were involved and putting it back on the community that was comfortable with racism before to not be comfortable with racism now. Just feels. I'm not with you. I'm not with you.
And that's what blows me away about this whole thing is that, racism is everywhere, right? Like, I mean, people think Canadians are all, maple syrupy and whatever and apologizing all the time. Right. But there's like, I mean, I constantly have, discussions or battles with people that throwing the N-word around and, listen. So my argument to them is, look, if somebody calls you a racist for that bullshit, right? You get, oh, I'm not a racist. How can you say that? Well, listen, these are racist tendencies. These are racist dog whistles. Your shit stinks, not just because it's brown, but because it's got an odor. Okay, exactly. So why don't you own your racism? If you feel this way, how come it's so difficult for you to be a racist and own racism, right? And that usually shuts people up because they bad, right?
Yeah.
But they don't, oh no, I'm not a racist. I had a friend that was posting stupid shit on Facebook, and his niece was about half his age, said, why do you always post this racist stuff? What do you mean? I'm not racist. It's like, oh, fuck, of course you are. Like, own the shit, man. But as much as I say that part here where I live, I think that from what I understand from what the conversations that you guys have had about Topeka, it sounds like those motherfuckers are owning their racism.
Well, yeah, the thing is,
in a big way.
Some of them are. Some of them are. And I'll let you talk, Stephen. Let me finish this one thought real quick. Some of them are, and those are the ones. Those are the comments, like Harry is saying. You'll see them online. I mean, it's like real. I admit I have been going pretty hard against the administration, in particular, Carl McNorton, who I'm related to, was offended at the school board. He was like, I've been trolled online. I know what online bullying is like.
Okay. All right.
This is coming from the same person who was, who was targeting, children and teachers, and telling people that, they were about cancel culture and this movement was being led by teachers, knowing good damn well that could come back and affect the teachers. But I digress. You have people who are openly accepting and embracing it, like Carrie said, online. But then you got people who are not aware. They recognize racism is a bad thing, and they recognize that people don't like it, but at the same time, they don't want to recognize their part in it. So it's like, it's something those people over there do. It's not what I'm doing here by keeping the name of this racist Klansman on the name of the school. Go ahead, Seven. What were you saying?
And by default, no one wants to lift a finger to do anything about it.
Because we don't have a racist problem.
Yeah,
exactly. No one here is acknowledging racism. So because no one has said that they're racist, there's no more racism here. We should just move on, get over it.
Yeah.
Right.
And I was going to say, go ahead.
No, I was just going to say, I can imagine these kids, these poor kids, are trying to because obviously, and I, always say that teenagers, their biggest issue is that they never think of the consequences of their own actions, right? And so I'm sure that the kids, when they got into this, thought that this was, this was going to be a low-hanging fruit. This is everybody's going to see. Oh my God, they're clutch their pearls. Oh, they can't have this. Well, let's change the name. Ooh, well, reality sets in, and these kids are like, ooh. But I could just imagine that age, and going home. Well, what is school today, honey? Well, we're trying to get the name changed because it was named after a Klansman. Oh, it's so nice that you're trying to help the Negroes. I just see that these poor kids are finding out now that there's a reason that this guy was named for these schools, right? Which is good, because open the windows, let everybody see it.
But the problem is now, it's one thing if you just have maybe mom's like that and dad, is a little bit more progressive. But mom and dad are like that because grandma and grandpa are like that, and our cousins are like that too. And so now it's just you who's acknowledging these logic, facts, and reason that everybody's been dismissing over generations. And now you got to stand up against your family, as well as some kids at school who are siding with their parents. And you're in this rural area where you don't have a lot of minorities with you who are going to, those who are there are like, I'm not standing for this shit.
Right.
This is
so
not
going to have a lot of support.
Exactly. This ain't going to happen. Y'all, I support you, but y'all ain't going to resolve this anytime soon because there's nothing but racists around us. So because of that fact, I want to be quiet, and you should be quiet too. We can be friends offline someplace else. But while we're at school, we'll just be quiet.
Well, the military, right? How many decades of in the military, if there was a person that was gay in the military, what did they call that? Don't tell. Yeah, right. How is that a solution to a problem? Right? Oh, we'll just keep it quiet. We won't talk about it.
It's the same thing as saying I don't see race. And actually, this kind of goes to a point I was about to make earlier. Kind of this kind of goes to when Andy was talking about these parents now who are basically unwilling to own up to their own racism. These are the generation of the main demographic of the Tucker Carlson Tucker Carlson show. His whole shtick has been about throwing out these dog whistles, saying these things, but never owning any of it. And always, I'm always amazed how he likes to talk about, there's this statement. People are talking about America and how we're white supremacist nation. Can someone give me a definition of what is a white supremacist? What is white supremacy? And you're like, what? How do you not? Do you not know what Google is? Can you not look in the mirror?
Wait. We did this throughout the Tea Party. Do you remember with the rise of the Tea Party? And they kept swearing up and down that all the photos that they were doing, the disparaging pictures of Obama and all of these other people, that wasn't racist. We're not racist. There's nobody in the Tea Party family who's racist. And it was all of that deflection. And then here we are. The Tea Party is groaning into Ted Cruz got his rise through the Tea Party. So
we had 4 years of Trump being blatantly, openly racist in a variety of ways. It's more of for them, it's like, as long as we don't acknowledge what you acknowledge, that's not a reality. As long as we don't acknowledge that these acts that we're participating in, voting in, voter suppressing any act that we're endorsing that is damaging to other races, as long as we don't acknowledge that it's doing just that, we're fine. Like, we're fine with it. And so you're just name calling at that point, because we are, as long as we don't accept that term, we're fine, even though our actions are showing otherwise. And what you're talking about with the Tucker Carlson is all about providing a window for an exit, like it's providing that plausible deniability. As long as Tucker Carlson is saying it, and then this group of 5 other people is giving us this back door, then what we're saying here, this dog whistle, can't exclusively be determined or acknowledged as being, a white supremacist dog whistle. Like, it could be any kind of whistle. I could be using that whistle to call out chickens. I could be using that whistle to call, elephants. You don't know. It just happens to call a lot of dogs. But,
But see, that's the thing, though. I mean, like, I can't remember the name of the group. It's like the biggest online white supremacist group or whatever. I can't think of it. Anyway, but
Trump supporters. Go ahead.
Good one.
But they basically said that they would record a Tucker Carlson show, watch it once for entertainment and information, and watch it again for tactics and strategy and how to convey their messages in the same way that he does. So that way they can be, still be blatant, but not offensive, at the same time. I mean, so like, I remember looking at an interview that he did like back in, like right after he got on, basically, when he was talking about how he felt that, like, he came from a small town, La Jolla, California, where they, he was saying that, we didn't have any sort of a race or anything. You didn't even have a last name. We would basically act like everyone was just, that's Fred, that's James. We didn't have time to worry about race and all that. And I'm thinking, stepson of the Swanson family. What are you talking about?
Oh yeah. Him and his homeboys standing on the corner talking Swahili, right?
Yeah. But my point is, so he said in this interview, he was saying back then that he felt like, because they didn't have or acknowledge each other's race then, that maybe we'd be better off if we didn't talk about it now. It would be a whole lot easier. Things would be a whole lot better if we just never even discuss it. It seems like we refer to it too much. And I'm just like, what are you talking about? And no, Jeffrey, that is not my voice. That is only my Tucker voice. That is simply my Tucker voice.
He has a variety of white man voices. That's the point.
Yeah.
I have several voices for you.
Oh God! So along the line of white excuses, my favorite was always a white person, like pale as I am, who rejects the idea of racism because they've never seen it. That is my absolute favorite excuse. Why would you know about racism if you're white? What?
Well, the thing is, I mean, in the Midwest, like, maybe if you're in a more culturally diverse area, you're the only white person.
Well, that's the key, Brandon. That's it. Like, yeah, I don't see race because they don't let them in our gated community.
Exactly. Exactly, and that's what.
Exactly right.
But that's literally why. That's literally why the USD 345 was founded. By the Klan, because they didn't want their kids, associating with anybody on the opposite side of the river. So north of the Kansas River, that's where USD 345 resides. And by creating a culture with their Klan mentality, they let people know in no uncertain terms, you are not welcome here. And so even whenever, and this is the crazy thing too, like, people talk about, well, that's just how it was back then. Like, you had some people who were just openly racist and it was okay. Well, the governor of Kansas at that time had said the Klan is coming here and they are a scourge to the nation. Like, he officially stated, like, the government itself of Kansas, as well as the federal government, which had already declared the Klan a terrorist organization. So this is not a situation where it's like, yeah, the whole country was just cool with Klan members. Like, it was just, everybody was just letting the South have a tantrum after they lost. Nobody was like that. There were people who were like, no, this is a problem and it needs to be dealt with. These are like murderous Proud Boys. But yeah, it's just like this expectation that people were just supposed to accept it because back then it was okay when it really wasn't.
And it's like I was gonna say, like that. Yeah. That's actually another thing that he actually said that Tucker actually kind of referred to. He was saying something along the lines of like, you know,
no, you got to do it in the Tucker voice.
Oh, okay. He basically was saying that, you know, that when people talk about white supremacy, lots of nooses and crosses burning and people being lynched comes to mind, and no one wants that. No one wants that. So when they talk about white supremacy, how can they associate something like that no one wants, an ideal like that no one wants with us?
The impression is so accurate, Seven, because he is perpetually acting as if he's perplexed by reality. And
it's always like a look like I don't even understand it.
That's what the only thing you're missing is you have to have a facial expression that looks like you're about to fart and you're not sure if it's going to be dry or not. Right? It's basically like it.
I like the way John Oliver said it. He said you have to have the look of like a 13th century farmer being explained Bitcoin.
There you go.
But that's part of the shit, though. Like it's how you hide the race. You hide the racism behind this false incredulousness, incredulity.
Incredulous bastardism.
Incredulity.
We need a shirt. Incredulous bastards.
Exactly.
Incredulous bastards.
I want to see that. I want to see that movie. But yes, like he's like, I can't believe racism. What is it? Oh my God, this is a thing? Who does this happen to? This is terrible. We need to get more information about this. And everybody else is like, this has been going on for a while now. You know, we can stop stalling in regard to the appreciation of its effect on reality because we have evidence of it. Meanwhile, you're sitting here pretending like it was just invented the other day and aliens brought it to us. Like, no, this is real.
I wish someone would explain to me what white supremacy is.
So I do have to ask. Now I know that there was some really nice grandmotherly white lady who was making the case that no, we need to preserve our memories and our heritage. Did anybody ever push back and say, "Do you mean with lynching or?"
Exactly. I mean, you can be a racist and just hate non-white races, right? But when you getting crosses out and you ropes, like that's a whole different ball game, right? I don't just hate you, I want to kill you.
That's a whole marketing campaign. That's a whole marketing
campaign. Right? Like, I mean, I have so much hatred that I won't rest until your race is all dead. Like think about that. How is that different than Nazi Germany? It's not.
The reverse. It's what Carrie's talking about is the inverse of what they did to Martin Luther King's legacy. So with Martin Luther King's legacy, it's about, oh yes, you know, he dressed up nicely, he gave great speeches, he organized people to walk into fire hoses, and then we stopped racism. That's the Martin Luther King legacy that we have. We don't talk about the activist side. We don't talk about him saying, well, you know, there's a point to this nonviolent shit. Like, you know, at some point, you know, if we don't get our needs met, there might need to be some extra actions, you know, taken. So the more radical stuff, totally eliminated. It's the opposite with this Klan shit. With this Klan shit, it's like they just walked around in, you know, their finest linen and, you know, talked about liking black people.
Let me not remind you. Martin Luther King was also a card-carrying member of the NRA.
Well, now, I don't know if this is true or not, but as you go up in the Klan, they increase the thread count in your hood, don't they? Like you go from a 3 to
You
a 400 thread
You
count.
get all the way up
Right?
to Egyptian cotton. Huh?
Listen,
Not Egyptian. No.
I'm a Cyclops member. Feel this. Oh, I could sleep on that bed. Oh, that's nice.
Ooh, man. The feeling.
You know some like pimped out clan member who showed up in like all silk, like
Oh yeah.
No, wait. He was like, "Hey, my wife did this. What you think? What you think?"
Yeah, exactly. Exactly.
What is that, Larry? Is that velvet, Larry? What is that?
But yeah, I had to have something. But it's wintertime, man. I had to have, I was gonna have a coat on under this. So I was like, hey, why don't you just insulate the road? Damn, I'm naked over here, baby. I'm alone naked. Look.
I wonder if that was the thing. Like, did Southern clan members just like, they just wore like togas or things that cut off at the knee, and then up north you wore corduroy? Like, how did that work? Like,
Roving boots.
I heard no, I think the farther north you get, the more chances that your Klansman outfit's going to be plaid.
Oh,
right, like a lumberjack.
Yeah, there you go.
Wow, lumberjack clan members, lumberjack clan. But no, I mean that's the thing in regard to the history and this fear that history is going to be replaced. Like that, I swear to God, that is the most frustrating non-argument there is. But the thing is, much like Tucker Carlson speak, like you are, when everybody's parroting that, you're eating up time and you're also building frustration. So it's like, well, you can't change history. You're right, Ted. You can't change history. I just told my friend the other day that, Barbara, and Barbara's like, yes. And I've been telling all these people, you can't change history. And so they're all having this you can't change history conversation over here, while people are really trying to affect change and have meaningful discussions over here. And so it derails and it does become a both sides thing, even though this side is full of bullshit, talking about something that's not really true.
I think I love that what you and your students are doing, because I think that there's still way too much denial in society, right?
Yeah.
That as much racism as there is, and as much on the other side of that, there's allies that are, at least starting to battle one another on Twitter for a lack of another place to meet during a pandemic. But I think that all of this has to get in the open, and it has to become a thing that the deniers can no longer deny, right? That it's, if you still have that narrative, like the Tucker Carlson narrative, then you just sound like an idiot. Right. I think that it has to get there. You got to get past the people that say, oh, well, it's not a problem. Right. Before anything really has a chance of changing. And I think that things like this, where what the kids are doing is, okay, look, all we want is this. Okay. Yeah. We're not changing anybody's income. We're not firing anybody. We're taking this dead guy's name off the schools. Okay.
Right.
It's low hanging fruit, despite what the people of Topeka have told you, right? It doesn't cost anybody any money. It doesn't change anybody's situation, right? So if there's still pushback on something like this, that should tell everybody, okay, we got a problem. Houston, there's a problem, right? So that's good, because it gets it out there. It allows people to have real conversations, not like, oh, there's no racism, so my wife and I came out with some black paint to cover up the yellow BLM in the road.
Right.
Like it's. I know that the U.S. is a country that was built on racism, right? When you have all of the people signing the Declaration of Independence are all slave owners, it's not a heavy lift to see that this is the problem, right? I'm starting to actually scare myself because I've been serious for like 3 minutes in a row. So somebody else.
Preach, Andy. Preach, Andy. Go.
Drink something.
No, let's hear some more Tucker Carlson. Come on, Seven. Now, racism.
But you're right, Andy. Like it is rooted in the very fabric of this nation. The thing is, we have pretended, and this is what pisses me off too about the people who talk about we need to remember history. We need to remember history. What you talk about is like common knowledge. Like that's not even hidden history, and we pretend like it's not a thing that's pervasive and had long-term effects and impact on today. We pretend like no, like okay, that guy owned some slaves, but it really wasn't a cultural thing, and it's really something that just ended somewhere, and no one can ever give you the time or the place when racism stopped. Like, okay, was it the 50s? Like, what day was it? Did you all meet? Was there a conference? What day?
An email and a memo, all their little clan membership cards expired.
Exactly. I would think you would celebrate that day since we're acknowledging it's a problem. You would celebrate that day much like you do Christmas or.
Well, wait a second. We have precedents. What was Juneteenth?
Juneteenth was the day. So is Juneteenth the day slavery ended? I mean, it was the day slavery ended.
No, it was a U.S. president.
What are you doing?
It was the day.
What are you doing?
Was it Juneteenth was the day the last?
I had to jump out of character for this. What are you doing?
Juneteenth was the day the last people were free.
No.
Tell me,
why don't you know? Yeah, Andy, can you help him out? Call him up. Call some.
All right. Yeah, phone a friend for this. So Juneteenth is our president.
Is this live right now? People watching this?
There are people watching this.
Shit, man.
Okay, so great.
I thought Juneteenth was the day that like the real.
Stop! You're digging. You're just digging. Stop. No. Okay, so you have the I'm gonna explain it.
Go ahead. I'm listening.
Wow.
So you had the Emancipation Declaration, and I'm not even going to pretend I remember the date of that, but that was
proclamation.
Yes, and the date was
1863.
Yeah.
What day? This is important.
December something, 1863.
Okay, all right, 7, gold star. So you had that go into law. That was the law across the land. But what happened was we didn't have social media or cell phones or email.
Yes.
So nobody told Texas.
Yes, that's
nobody told anybody in Texas. So while the rest of
the last slaves found out they were free. I knew it. I wasn't wrong.
So the precedent was in this country, we don't tell people about their rights and what they've got and all of this sort of thing. So we have a long history, not only of slavery and racism and inequality, we also have a history of let's just not tell them. They'll never know.
So they didn't find out until 2 years later in June. 2.5 years later. 1865.
You were just technical details.
Exactly.
June 19th, 1865.
I wasn't in Texas. I'm learning. I'm
from Chicago.
Oh, thank you. Yes.
I want to go to. I was 2 days up. I wasn't born yet. I understand. Okay. I knew what I had to do.
19th.
I know.
Who knew this? Who knew what was going on June 19th of that day when Donald Trump decided to have a rally?
Thank you. Yes, that's why everybody lost their minds. Absolutely. Thank you, 7.
Yes, I do. And I do recognize why that was offensive. I do remember that. But yes, I know.
Somebody had to tell you. You should be offended. I am.
Don't tell the black people. Don't. But yeah. So.
But
yeah.
I mean, but real quick, just to kind of get on that. I mean, so like there was a story of a brother of a black man who, up until 1967, was still serving on a plantation because he in Alabama because he never knew.
Wow.
He
Nobody
never
told him.
So he was when he was born, he was a slave to a young man's father, And as he got older, the slave master died, and so his son, some 28-year-old dude, he's like, I just started working for him. Didn't think nothing of it.
Didn't know. Nobody walking by the house.
I didn't look up in the sky and see planes.
What?
See,
yeah, there's.
Why that kid? I'm upset at the slave owner, not the one who died. I mean, I'm upset at him too. But the descendant, like, okay, so you going around living your life in the '60s, knowing that well you got this person, and you know other people are free. And can't that be kidnapping? That should be kidnapping at some point.
No. Wait a second. Let's take it into the modern era. You've got all of the Purdue and other meat packers who are betting on their own employees which ones are going to die from COVID. What's the difference?
Wow. True.
What's the difference?
There's no difference.
Well, exactly. Donald Trump hires 50 black workers from wherever, brings them in, pays them next to fucking nothing. What's the difference?
Right.
This is true. Right. But the thing is, you see this and you recognize there's a racial component here. Like, we can all see this with our eyes. And these individuals who support people like this are all like, what are you talking about? I don't see anything.
No. They see it too. They just don't care. And when they speak to you about it.
It doesn't affect their money, doesn't affect their livelihood. So why should they care?
Yeah.
Exactly.
That's what it comes down to. That's what this whole argument has been about. Everything that's going on with Siemens School. I mean, you could replace that with any other industry or any other situation where you can obviously see a blatant injustice or something that's going on and nobody's willing to address it. I mean, that's basically what happens in all the situations. People, until somebody feels like, oh, okay, now it's in my backyard because now my white daughter has finally gotten screwed by some black guy and she just decided to keep it. Now I care. You know what I'm saying? Like,
exactly.
Well, wait a second.
Like that, but that's kind of what it comes down to in a lot of cases. Like, you hear people say, "Oh, I'm not racist because I have a mixed grandchild," who you probably cussed and screamed and hit and yelled and hollered and kicked and fought about until that child actually got here.
Yeah,
right. And I there's no way I can let my neighbors see that. Right? No, there's no way I could be seen with that child.
It's all about NIMBY, man. Not in my backyard.
Jim and Mary next door see me with that child, right?
What do you say, Karen?
I said, let's take it back to the students of Seaman. There was one comment, and I don't remember where it came from, and I'm not going to name names, but I think it was a valid comment and something that you're going to see throughout the student body, right? So you've got, maybe 2 black kids and maybe 5 Asian kids in the school. Yep. And when one of the white kids was approached to support the effort by the other students, the comment was, well, I don't have any black friends. This doesn't affect me. So that student did not realize that, yeah, it does affect you because we see you as a product of this school. And whether you supported this or you didn't, forever we're going to say, oh, you went to the Klan school and you must be okay with that.
And I mean, one of the things that another commenter, was talking about was, racism being taught at the home. So that feeds into what you're talking about, Carrie. It's like racism isn't just something that you learn at the home. It's something that you learn in your community. Like, it's something that's accepted in your community. It's not so, like, you can be taught, like, to eat shit all day long at home, but the moment you break out a shit sandwich at the lunch table, people are looking at you and be like, we don't do that right here. That's gross.
Right.
But if everybody else breaks out shit sandwiches, it's
the best shit in the planet, folks. Only the best shit. Only the highest quality shit.
Right. I only make the best shit sandwiches. Nobody makes them better than me.
You should come to my house. My grandma makes awesome shit
only
sandwiches.
The best of corn and all of the shit. I promise you, at least 3 kernels. Someone promise you 2. Someone give you 1. I promise you 3.
Jeez.
But that's
and
how
it's reciprocal.
That's how racism spreads, and that's how it's normalized. That's how you create that culture where people are all comfortable with something that is unacceptable. So it's not just a home issue. And I really take umbrage. I take some really real offense to, like, oh, that's something we can just keep contained over there. And yeah, you're going to have black students who are going to be like, okay, well, I guess this is normal. This is what I have to put up with. This is what I'm supposed to be treated. And the ironic thing is, whenever I was there, They had no problem coming to you if they had questions about black people.
Oh, you were the ambassador or the poodle,
Yes,
right?
Yes, I was.
Yes.
Brandon, why are so many people upset about this Rodney King thing? Why they aren't in California. They aren't in
You're
California.
black. You must know.
Exactly.
Right.
Why can't you?
What are you talking about? How about your last name is Black Man?
Right.
And you're in a school where you're the only black kid.
Yeah.
So then when the teacher stands up and tells everyone on February 1st, okay, kids, we're gonna start this month. We're gonna like all of a sudden this is a new thing because of the way she says it. This month we're gonna start talking about Black history, guys. And then all of a sudden everyone does this.
The turnaround. Yes.
They gave you that look like, when did black people get a history?
At age 7, that at age 7 is a beautiful thing.
Same thing happened when OJ got off. And same thing happened when OJ got off. People are like, pissed off. Like, why did this happen? Why are you know he's guilty? I need you to say he's guilty. Okay, all right, he's guilty, man. He's guilty. What do you want from me? I can't convict this dude. Like, this is what happened. And then meanwhile, I'm like laughing my ass off. Like, y'all pissed because this is the same shit. Y'all
exactly.
Coming back on you.
Dude, I remember talking about that in college. It was like in our psychology class that again, there were only 2 black kids in this class. but thankfully the professor was South African. Anyway, so but like it was like they didn't want to acknowledge. Well, I won't say didn't want to acknowledge, but I guess the main ideal was that they were upset that here's a guy who won in a system that wasn't designed for him to win in it.
Right.
That's really what it came down to.
But it's a double.
Wait. We put all the traps and loops and hoops and things in place. Hold on. We put all this in place. And wait. What? There's a financial component, first of all. Damn it. We shouldn't have paid him. Damn it. He can afford a lawyer. Shit.
But he got off
a good one. Damn it. Now we actually got to fight against him.
But it's a double-edged sword because at the same time you're asking. I know some people out there like, oh fuck Brandon, like how are we supposed to know about black people unless we ask black people things? And that's why I didn't feel as bad about being the ambassador back in the 90s.
You had a library at that school, right?
They do have. You're right. You are right about that.
I'm just.
The walk may have been a little bit far for some people.
You had a downtown area. Maybe they could go and.
This is true. We even had multicultural classes where you could where you could pay, if you paid attention, you could study these things. So you are very right. Like I am making excuses for my counterparts back then. It was not, they didn't have to.
Well, that was your learned behavior, right? So there was a little bit of survival in it.
There's still a part of that that's still left in you.
Yeah, exactly.
So you're trying to break the cycle for those kids, those 2 black kids that are going through it right now.
Yes. And that's part of the main reason why I came in, so hard, firing hot, because I'm like, this is not going to be the passive Brandon here to break out the truth of blackness to you. No, you are not getting that anymore. We've been there, we've done that. Now you won't get asshole Brandon, where I'm just going to go in if I see some racism. Like, I'm just going in. And I feel like I deserve that.
Yeah, but you got to remember that, so white suburban people, I'll be the white ambassador, white suburban ambassador.
Yes.
So when you have these children, and there are still children, who have never really been challenged, never really had their lives threatened, never really had to fight for anything ever.
Never stood up for anything.
Right. Never had that kind of pushback, the shame and all of this stuff thrust upon them, let alone death threats and everything else. I can see why they approach this. And I'm not criticizing them. I think this is a very natural thing.
Yeah.
I can see why they approached it as like, we're going to start a car wash for this chair. It makes sense because that's all they've known. And they're not going to have this really rough learning experience till they hit college. and start to get out amongst people who are not like them, not from their neighborhood, all of that sort of thing. So that is my little word of wisdom. But Brandon, I got to run. I just want to make sure I stop by and say happy birthday. And it was totally worth it to hear the warring impressions going on between Andy and Seven. This is just brilliant and amazing. I didn't realize you guys were so talented in this particular area. It's
only the best, folks. Only the best.
That's right.
Right. So happy birthday, Brandon.
Thank you, Carrie.
Thanks.
Thanks for coming.
Peace, Kate.
So yeah, I mean, I get where Carrie's coming from. I get that's why I never ever faulted the students. I'm like, God dang it, man, these students, they aren't soldiers. I need people to fight for this or whatever. Like it's a bunch of different
more
people.
cannon fodder.
It's a bunch of people. It's a bunch of different people coming at a problem from a bunch of different angles, and so I, can fight, my way. And other people can ask politely, and other people can say, we are the young people and we need to be, respected. And other people can say, this is going to affect us financially, blah, 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 blah. So it's all these different voices that add up to this cacophony that hopefully, addresses the problem, which is pretty much how racism has to be addressed in general. We all, just like Andy was saying, we all have to talk about it. We all have to have these conversations wherever we are. So, because I'm not going to be at a Canadian dinner table anytime soon. But Andy's going to be there, so Andy can talk. And then I'm not going to be in Chicago, or I'm not going to be in California, or I'm not going to be in Asia. So it's like wherever you are, you got to be willing to have these dialogues as opposed to seeking out what's comfortable, what's familiar. Whenever you see some shit, say some shit. And then keep talking about the shit until the shit changes. Like, that's what has to happen. But people just want to talk about it, acknowledge, like, oh, that's bad. There's racism over there. Racism is bad. Racism is a bad thing. What are we having for dinner? Like, the conversation can't stop there. If it's bad, it means it's had repercussions. If it's had repercussions, it means there's problems that need to be addressed. If the problems need to be addressed, we got to talk about solutions.
And I think that a lot of that changes with the times, too, that you're currently in, right? Because you're in an unprecedented time, especially in the U.S. right now, with the lack of help from the government, right? The neoliberal regime convinced everybody that it was better than Trump, and now they're doing everything they can do to prove that they were wrong.
I mean, so far, so pedestrian.
Yeah. Like nothing will fundamentally change. But the problem is you still have people that are going hungry, that are getting thrown out of their homes. And if there was ever a time where there was a possibility for some real structural change in society, it would be now, right? The pandemic is making sure that a lot of people are going to have to demand change just to survive. And we see now with the stories that we were talking about with the number one users of social assistance like food stamps are the middle class. Which means that there's no longer a middle class, right? There's rich people and there's everybody else.
Yeah.
And eventually we're going to figure out that we got to stop fighting with each other and fight the rich people, right? So that's at least a glimmer of hope that I can see, that maybe that changes. Maybe that the tipping point, we finally reached that point. And if people are willing to make the changes on justice issues like, a fair wage for work, free health care, then maybe we can start to have a conversation about the racial issues and reparations. And, because at that point, if you can scare the rich people enough to say, okay, look, we're going to come out and find you and kill you because there's more of us than there are of you. And if it's a possibility that you're now engaged in that conversation, then there's others that we can have too, right? So I think I think we're in the nth stage capitalism that's going to eventually eat itself, right? As long as we can all survive as a people.
See, I feel like Andy, kind of to your point, as far you're talking about the middle class, frankly, being, the highest, users of food stamps, that just kind of lends more to that meeting that the agenda that was created at Davos. When the rich billionaires decided Agenda 21 or 2030, however it goes, I think they're both basically the same thing, but it basically says that come 2030, we won't own anything and we'll be happy, but we'll be happy. So it's basically like so everything will be left into the beneficial and of course congenial hands of the billionaires who will help us out all the time and help us in any sort of situation. So we won't have to do anything. All we have to do is be willing workers and live our lives and just live and understand, and have streams given to us, anytime we want to watch something or anytime we want to listen to music, have something given to us. Or if we want to get somewhere that they allow us to go, you gotta say that part. They give us a car or something that shoe us to whatever destination. But if we want to get into their spot, oh no. See, so that way they have still created a barrier to entry. So that way they can keep the rich from being eaten by the poor.
Exactly, yeah. And it's really just a long term, because they're going to continue to grow in ranks. Like the rich will continue to, they'll have children, they'll have low cost, childcare and whatnot for them, as long as this disparity continues to grow. And as a matter of fact, labor will become cheaper. So people will become that much more expendable. But yeah, like over time, these individuals will continue to consume resources, and it will be, literal haves and have-nots, and the have-nots will have to be culled to make room for more people who have. Like, we have finite resources right now. We don't have infinite energy. We have not, broken the code in regard to, making more energy than we consume. We haven't done that yet. So that means that they have to keep this game going long enough until they can figure out a way to,
get Bezos in office to be president.
Exactly. And
Yeah. No, I'm saying they gotta stall us with stuff. They gotta keep us occupied. Hey, look over here, look over here, look over there, look over there, look at that, look at that. Meanwhile, Bezos and his ilk are trying to set world policy and set world agendas, for us 10, 20, 30, 40 years down the line.
Exactly. So I mean, it's collectivism versus tribalism. We either are going to acknowledge that we're all one and we can work together and get things done for these common objectives, or we're going to allow people to continue to play things, play us against another using the same old strings, race, economics, religion, gender, sexuality. And so, by getting people to play against one another, play this, little orchestra over here, you're not working together. You're acknowledging like that's that black trans woman over there, and I'm a Jewish aristocrat, whatever. So like we don't have anything in common. Knowing both of you all,
it's a gefilte fish. What do you mean?
Knowing both of you all don't have enough resources put together, combined to equal up to this, billionaire, trillionaire over here. Like there's no long-term thinking in that regard. It's like, as long as I can survive my stint on this planet and get off, then, fuck everybody else that comes after me. I just need to survive my little stint and, make it for that little bit.
Well, I see Jeff said that they will keep us divided for years unless we do something about it. I kind of feel and it's like, so it's like that division amongst us is what, keeps us, vulnerable.
Yeah.
Honestly, as a nation, because honestly,
I don't even say a planet. Because other countries,
no doubt. But I just mean like let's just say if we were to be victims of be somehow in part of World War III, if that were to kick off or something like that, the best way to kick it off here is to get everybody fighting amongst each other, so that way we're not even focused on whatever's I'm just saying, like, that's the best way to get it going, and we're doing that now. So we rarely aim our sights on the people who are actually pulling the levers of things that are going on. It's like we're a lot of, now I'm not saying not you and I or people in media or independent media, but I mean like, the average Joe out there is basically, like I'm mad. There's a guy who's right in front of me. It's his fault. Everything is about proximity instead of saying, well, hold on, there's maybe a man behind a man behind a man behind a man behind the curtain, who's telling me not to worry about him. You know what I'm saying? So I'm just saying, like, I just feel like, those are those divisions are absolutely what needs to be taken away, so that way we can understand that there is a bigger picture. There is absolutely a bigger picture, and we're fighting a very small part of it.
People just want easy. They want easy. Well, I'll let you have the last word, Andy.
Well, okay, let's take a quick scenario, right? There's a young black family in a house, and right next door there's an older white guy. The black family are Biden supporters, the white guy's a Trump supporter, right? All they have to do is have a conversation over a fence to realize that they both don't want to go broke because of health reasons, right? Yeah. That they care about their families, they care about the environment, right? That they have more in common than not in common, right? Yeah. That's the tipping point that we have to get to, is that there's 75 million people that voted for Trump in the last election. You have to understand why that is, and are you going to just forget about them? Well, that's 75 million people, right? The United States wants to move forward. That 75 million people are going to be part of that group. How do you have a conversation with those people? Well, that conversation starts with, you and I are more alike than we are different, right? We got to stop listening to the powers that be that tell us that the differences are the important thing. They're not. It's the similarities that are the important thing, right? The quicker we come to that understanding, the faster society moves forward, right? Mm-hmm. And then we deal with all of this bullshit and try to make lives better and save our ability to live this planet, because we're running out of years there too. So
this is very true. Thanks for coming out. This is the best birthday present ever, guys. I appreciate it.
Best birthday present you had today.
It is.
Wait a minute. Hold on. Happy birthday.
I'm comfortable.
Oh, no?
Man, I got to close my eyes.
All right, next time.
Oh, what was that? What was that? The 6 cent stud.